afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I can say quite honestly it's a pleasure for me always to be here. When I come back here, it's like coming back home, and it's a pleasure for me to talk to you. I hope I won't talk too much, and a lot of you probably know as much or more than I about this battle. But I want to tell you, if I can, some personal things and also some matters of strategy and tactics. Because as you know, we lost this battle, and there are many reasons for it. And one of the main reasons was the planning for the operation. And as an excuse, it was done in under 7 days. For instance, the planning for the D-Day operations took 6 months, and still some things went wrong on the day. And if you imagine the whole of this operation, over 2,000 transport aircraft and gliders, 1,000 escort fighters, etc., coming from 22 airfields in Britain, was laid on in 6 days. Now it probably takes a month or more to lay on an exercise of one aircraft. And during that planning, many errors were made which led to the failure of the operation at this end, partly due to as I say, the hurry, partly due to an argument that the Army has with the Air Force, that in an airborne operation the Air Force has the upper hand in planning until the troops land on the ground. And it was an Air Force decision. First of all, we would only have one lift per day. The aircraft would come in by day and not by night, which is the best time for parachutists to land. One of the reasons for flying in by day was that the American Air Force, due to its hurried enlargement, didn't have enough navigators, only 1 per 3 aircraft. The other reason, coming in by day, they had to fly in close formation to provide so they could be escorted by fighters. And as I told you, we had 900 fighters as escort for the 2 American divisions and ourselves, and very effective they were. So here we were on the first day. As you know, the 1st Parachute Brigade, 1st Glider Brigade landed near Wolfhazer. The 1st Parachute Brigade set off towards Arnhem Bridge, and as you know, only the 2nd Battalion got there. The task for the Air Landing Brigade was to defend the landing areas for the 2nd lift on the next day, which was the rest of the gliders and the 4th Parachute Brigade. The King's Own Scottish borderers were responsible for defending this dropping zone, and as soon as they rendezvoused near Wolfhazer, they set off into their positions. And briefly, they were one company in the far corner, right down there with battalion headquarters. One company right across there over the sheep, and one company right down in the corner there. Now, the King's Own Scottish border has made a fatal mistake. Nobody was here. And as you see, it's a bit of ground which dominates the landing area. Why, I don't know. They had a company about half a mile down the road up which we came. So that was their position. They got into position, and during the late evening, night, some of the enemy troops started to come in from the west and engage the King's Own Scottish border in that position. and during the night more came in, and they occupied this hill here and the cafe and buildings behind. And somehow a platoon in the King's Own Scottish Borderers went to sleep, were captured from a hutted camp down there. What they were doing, it looked as if they were fast asleep. But anyway, during the day, the enemy came in and there were patrol actions fought all the way around the dropping zone. We were due to come in at 11 o'clock the next day, and the King's Own Scottish Borderers, the pathfinders, laid out their markers down on the new motorway ready for our arrival. But instead of us arriving, about 30 enemy fighters patrolled the area of this dropping zone and the landing zones at near Volfhazer. It was a good thing that due to the mist in England, no aircraft could take off, and we were delayed 4 hours. And by the time we came in at 3 o'clock, the enemy fighters had long run out of fuel and returned to Germany. And there was no information with base, so the King's Own Scottish Borderers waited and thought, what in the hell's going on? And with the King's Own Scottish Borderers were the advance parties of each battalion. That is an officer and about 20 men. And their job was to mark the rendezvous of the various parachute battalions after they landed with coloured smoke. For instance, the 10th Battalion, this was their rendezvous, and it was green smoke for them. Blue smoke for brigade headquarters just down the track, and red smoke across there for 156. So they waited and waited for our arrival. And at about 3 o'clock, they heard to the south a lot of noise of enemy flak or enemy aircraft, anti-aircraft fire, because the Luftwaffe had information about our arrival from the orders were captured on the body of an American officer from a crashed glider. So they knew the line of flight and the time of arrival. And that is why the enemy fighters were here, and they lined up their flak south of the Maas and south of the Rhine. So as we flew in, we met this anti-aircraft fire. Our brigade took off from Leicestershire in England from 2 airfields in 127 Dakotas. They took some time to formate, to get into these big formations of 36 aircraft called a serial, flying in very close formation, practically wingtip to wingtip. And we flew across the English Channel, and right across, not the English Channel, the North Sea, and there was a line of air-sea rescue launches, and I could see already they were rescuing the soldiers from a glider that had landed in the sea. We crossed the Dutch coast and we met the first bit of flak. We flew over the flooded parts of northern Holland for about 5 minutes, and standing in the door I could see the farmer and